What's going on, guys? This is Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ back in for another great episode. And today's episode is Start 'em, Sit 'em, Week 13, people. It is do or die. Next week is playoffs. Are you ready? I don't know. Some of you guys aren't making playoffs. Some of you guys are. So these decisions are crucial for this week and next week. Obviously, first round knockout. You don't want to be that guy. So I don't want to waste any more time. So let's get right into the episode. So start them, sit them. These decisions for the next couple weeks are going to make or break you. It's do or die, people. One bad start can be your downfall. One bad start can be just straight disaster. You can destroy your championship team. So I'm here to give you the guys that are going to set you up for success and hopefully help you bring home the gold, people. So first up, I got Devonta Parker versus Cincinnati. Now, you're probably thinking, Devonta Parker has been heating up these last 2 weeks. Why? Here it is. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starting quarterback. Tua's out for a couple of weeks dealing with injury, but we don't know what really happened because the game that he was taken out, they said he wasn't injured severely. They said it was more so, his bad play. But I really think it was a mixture of both. Maybe he did get injured and maybe he was just being terrible playing against Denver. But Fitzpatrick came in and saved the day. Not really, but came in and, performed pretty, well, probably better than Tua. But honestly, Tua the last couple of weeks haven't been giving me anything like I've been impressed. You know what I mean? Like I haven't seen anything where I was like, wow, man, he did that. But again, some people are big Tua fans. Me, I just need to see something for you to produce in real life and produce, in fantasy, obviously, because we're here for fantasy football. I really don't care much what you do, in real life or what your stats look like. But if you're giving me 9 points, 11 points, 8 points as a quarterback, you do not belong on my roster. You do not belong in my starting lineup. So back to Devonta Parker. Devonta Parker, back-to-back games with almost 19 points, 18 points in like some change or whatever, PPR formats, whatever format you're in. But Devonta Parker against a very brutally beaten defensive Bengals, you know what I mean? And I feel like without Burrow, there's no motivation there. There's no swagger. There's no spark there. So that team is just on a complete, downfall. They're tanking for draft picks at this point. And it's like Devonta Parker has been heating up. The targets have been increasing once Fitzpatrick is back in. Like, let's look at Fitzpatrick, like the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. He was putting up 23 points, 27 points, 30 points. Like he was putting up good points. And even Devonta Parker was looking really good in those early games as well, even with Preston Williams there. So getting the targets is, something that we love. Volume is key here. And I definitely like that he's getting like 7, 8, 9, even 10 targets a game. You know what I mean? Like to have Fitzpatrick in there, to have the veteran in there who's going to be slinging that ball. He may throw the ball 50 times tomorrow, but it doesn't matter. Devonta Parker's going to see a nice chunk of that, and he's going to bring you about like 18 to 20 points. So this is a must start, people. This is a clear, wide receiver 2, full send it. Now, I can't speak too much on what happens in the playoffs. You know what I mean? He has Kansas City week 14. So I don't know if Tua comes back. I don't know if Fitzpatrick is sitting the bench. So it's going to get a little messy. So I'm just telling you, Devonta Parker, you could start him this week. It's a safe bet. Wide receiver 2 against the Bengals. Full send it, people. Next up, I got Kirk Cousins versus the Jags, people. This is a must start. The Jags have been giving up a ton of yards through the air. They're the bottom 4 of the table when it comes to passing yards per game. Also, they have Dalvin Cook out there that can help in the passing game, catching balls out of the backfield. So this should be a great game for Kirk Cousins. He might fuck around and throw 300 yards and like 2 touchdowns. I'm happy with that, people, especially with Kirk Cousins being wildly disrespected. You know what I mean? And 39% owned and then 21% started. Now, these playoffs, it's going to look a little shaky with his schedule. He has Chicago, he has Tampa Bay, and he has New Orleans. That's going to look a little shaky. But if you're on the bubble and you're hurting with, quarterbacks, I'm rolling the dice with Kirk Cousins, putting up nice points about between 20 to 25. If I can get that out of my quarterback, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? For a guy that I'm getting off the waiver who's not much owned right now. Like I said, only 39% of the people own Kirk Cousins. Again, you got some people that are going into the playoffs, hoping that Jared Goff will help them, or, they're dealing with a really shaky, Josh Allen right now. Me. You know what I mean? The last game putting up 19 points. That's not something we want to see from Josh Allen. He's getting more reckless, fumbling the ball, throwing, money balls that are turned into interceptions that he was doing early in the season. And it's like, I don't know. Josh Allen's looking a little shaky at the back end of the season, but we shall see. So I'll just pump the brakes on the Josh Allen hate. But Kirk Cousins right now going against the Jags, this is a great matchup where I think he can pull out, between 20 to 25 points or maybe even more people. So Adam Thielen should be coming back off of the COVID reserve. So I definitely think he has all full weapons. Justin Jefferson out there killing it, with the absence of Adam Thielen. So I definitely think the chemistry, the little connection, they're in sync with Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. I definitely think, Kirk Cousins has something special in this matchup to help you get that 6th seed, people, or get you that last seed to get you into the playoffs. So Kirk Cousins, book it, buy it. Bring home the gold, people. Next up, I got Naim Heinz against Houston, people. This is a must start, even with Jonathan Taylor coming off the COVID list, but we'll keep an eye on that to see how much he'll be involved into the game plan. Don't know if he's fully coming off. His girlfriend had, COVID or whatever. She tested positive, so he quarantined. So we shall see what goes on with that. He should be coming off the COVID list, so I'm pretty sure he's going to play. But even with Jonathan Taylor playing, we've seen Naim Heinz be the guy in the red zone, bringing, the touchdowns home. And then you got to remember, he's a great, backfield, catcher. He's a great third down back. So he's going to be on the field, people. So he has this little rhythm where he's like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, or whatever the case may be. But again, the Colts backfield is very shaky, but I think this matchup benefits Heinz more than it benefits Taylor coming back. So Heinz is definitely a full send against Houston because we've seen what AP did last week, 17.5 points, which is amazing to see, the old man, the old guy at the club who still thinks he got it. But, AP putting up 17 points, hey, man, I'm going to full send Heinz, being that he's going to put up big points. Like, he's heavily rostered, heavily started, 85% roster, 64% started. But again, Jacoby Brissett is annoying to see on the goal line. It's annoying to see him in the red zone, the actually like pondering and like thinking about, hey, am I going to run this in or throw it in? It's fucking annoying, man. So that is in the back of my mind, wondering if, Naim Heinz will be involved in that goal line duty, but we shall see. The Jacoby Brissett doesn't, worry me too much to be a every week thing. I mean, we did see it 2 weeks in a row, but I don't think that was because, it's actually working. It's just because they were facing teams that give up a lot of, goal line touchdowns. But we'll see. Tennessee and Green Bay. Green Bay has been looking terrible against the run. Tennessee has been very wishy-washy against the run. So we shall see what happens, man. But Jacoby Brissett doesn't bother me that much to think that Heinz will be taken away, for fantasy. Basically, he has multiple abilities. For him to get 10 targets out of the backfield last week, amazing. For him to catch 8 of them, amazing. And then still get 10 rushing attempts, that's still amazing, people. He's heavily involved. So even with Jonathan Taylor there, those targets doesn't cut down. He's still seeing 9 targets, 10 targets, 12 targets, 8 targets, etc. He's still seeing the targets out of the backfield. And for the PPR owners, I know you're happy about that. Even with Jonathan Taylor in or out, it does not really matter. Heinz is going to get those targets out of the backfield, and that helps you bring home points and to bring home the gold, people. So start him this week against Houston. Houston at the very bottom of the table against the run as well. So he might pop off for a nice little 30-yard run, 40-yard run. Who knows? So there's that. Start him, book it, buy it, bring home the gold, people. Now, let's get to the sit-em. This is very crucial, people. A lot of people putting these guys into their starting lineups, hoping, praying that they pop off. But this could be your downfall, people. This decision can be the chop to the neck, like that you ain't going to get into the playoffs. Or, you know what I mean, you miss out on first round bye, making stupid decisions. That's also a possibility as well for some of the guys that are making the playoffs. So let's not get cute. Let's not, try to be the guy like, oh, yeah, well, I played this guy and he actually gave me this points and I actually won. Nah, these guys, no, sir. They're going to shit the bed. So first up, I got Jonnu Smith, man. Woo, man. It's been very tough to be a Jonnu Smith owner these last couple of weeks. He's been very touchdown dependent, people, very touchdown dependent. And it's like to the point where we cannot trust him in the playoffs right now. And banking on Jonnu Smith to pop off in the playoffs or for this game next week, well, this week, I mean, against Cleveland, it's not something I'm willing to roll the dice. I'm not telling you to go get, a tight end off the waivers and hoping and praying for that, but it's going to be really, really tough. Hopefully you have a stash, tight end that you probably have, because Jonnu Smith against Cleveland, I'm not feeling comfortable about 100%, being that he put up 0 points last week. He had 0 targets last week. It was like he didn't exist. Most of the time he was running the routes, which I didn't understand. So it's like, what's going on? Why are you getting no targets when you had the perfect matchup, where you had the ability to be a red zone threat? Derrick Henry just went crazy as well. But at the end of the day, we saw the rhythm that they had: run the ball to Henry, get to the red zone, target Jonnu Smith, touchdown. We were happy with that. Now he's getting 0 targets, and it's kind of like, what the hell happened? So against Cleveland, Cleveland has been looking really good against tight ends. I mean, Tyler Eifert put up, some points. I won't say big points, but he put up fantasy relevant points last week. But it was really weird to see that, honestly, to say that the Jags, used their tight end and he actually put up points. But hey, there's that. But Jonnu Smith, man, it worries the hell out of me. I think they're going to focus on Derrick Henry. It's getting cold out, wintertime. King Henry is going to be running through bodies. Nobody's going to want to tackle him. So I really think you can't roll the dice on Jonnu Smith this week. But a lot of people who are rostering only one tight end, I guess you have no choice but to start Jonnu Smith. But I would look to the waiver wire, man. Just see who's out there before you go, putting Jonnu Smith out there, because it's been looking really, really scary to have him in my starting lineup, for the simple fact that him putting up 0 points last week, it's the sole purpose why I lost in some of my leagues, because of him, because he put up 0 points. Like, he had no targets, and listen to this, he was on the field for 74% of the snap opportunity and had 0 targets and 0 catches and nothing. It's just straight dots all across the line. That worries me. It's kind of like, what the fuck happened? You go from having at least 6 targets a game to having nothing. So it wasn't like he got game scripted out. He could have been very useful against Indy last week, and he could have been cutting up that middle of the field or being a red zone big target. And he's very explosive. He has the speed, but I don't want to roll the dice this week against Cleveland. So I'm going to look elsewhere. So Jonnu Smith, you get the bench. Todd Gurley against the Saints this week. I hate it. I do not like it. We've seen what happened 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? He had like 2.9 points. In some leagues, he had 3.9 points in PPR, but only 8 attempts. The game got away from him, and I think it's going to get away from them again, even with Tyson Hill as the fucking quarterback, that annoying bastard. But Todd Gurley, coming off an injury, will be limited. Of course, it's the knee. We already know he had knee issues, so I think Brian Hill, Edo Smith will probably be, the 1-2, and then Gurley will be in there, not really involved, not enough to give you fantasy relevant points. I don't feel like Todd Gurley is a good play this week. I think you pump the brakes on him. I mean, I'm not going to tell you wait next week, because you might not be making playoffs if you took Todd Gurley kind of high, but that's just me talking shit. But anyway, I feel like Todd Gurley this week is not a good start, for the simple fact he's going to be very limited, people. That knee injury, they're going to monitor that. They want to keep him healthy. It's not like they have playoff hopes at all. So it's not like they have to risk anything. He's on a 1-year deal as well. But I think they actually want to win this game, against the Saints. I think putting him out there can hurt them in the long run. And I think they're probably looking to sign him, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. So currently at, RB14, he was a potential RB10. Going into this season. But again, it's nothing too wowing to put him into your starting lineups this week, because he will probably be very limited. So I can't stress that enough. So Todd Gurley, you get the bench. So last but not least, Devin Singletary gets the bench solely because Zach Moss, if we're using the eye test, Zach Moss is outsnapping him. He's getting more opportunities in the red zone, getting passes out of the backfield as well as Singletary. But it's like, come on, man. You cannot depend on Singletary to be in your starting lineups to actually help you win this week. For the simple fact that Singletary, when Zach Moss was out, was not getting the job done, lets me know everything I need to know. So I need you to understand that Devin Singletary does not help you win this week going against San Francisco. San Francisco, man, It's going to be a rough matchup. They're a tough defense. You've seen what they did to my Rams. So Devin Singletary, you get the bench. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Week 13, stardom, stidom is do or die, people. So please make the right decisions. Make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode of Real Deal Fantasy HQ with your boy LQ. Peace.